Hey folks, Deano here again. This time taking a quick look at another Dragon Ball Evolve figure. This one I found on Amazon, not on Tesco. It was still a tenner though. If you get Prime shipping, it's free delivery, so literally paid the same as what I would have in a shop. So yeah, let's take a quick look at the packaging before we do anything else. Again, with all of these Dragon Ball Evolve figures, the artwork is top notch, really nicely done. I do notice though they've used Golden Frieza with the halo, even though this figure doesn't have a halo. Golden Frieza, they've actually spelt it the actual translated way instead of the FRWZA. This one is an older figure, it's Bandai 2020. But yeah, and picture on the back is of Jiren, True Ultra Instinct Goku, and Frieza, looking quite cool. So yeah, now that's out the way, let's take a look at the figure. So, unfortunately, this figure's not perfect. I preface that by saying this is a £10 or $10 figure, so I'm not expecting too much, but mostly when I do these Dragon Ball Evolve reviews, it's either if I can get my hands on them easily, or if they would fit into a figuarts display with a little issue, like with Trunks. This Frieza can actually fit in a display if for whatever reason you don't have the figuarts Golden Frieza, either the original or the exclusive one. I can't remember what year that was released. I think it was a couple of years ago now. But yeah, I was actually taken aback by this guy, to be completely honest. Specifically the paint apps. Like, this is a £10 figure. How on earth did Bandai manage to paint this guy so well? Like, it's almost exactly the same as the figuarts paint apps. It's a little bit more speckly. I'm assuming that's because it's a slightly cheaper paint. But yeah, they went all out with the paint apps on this guy. Almost too much, to be completely honest with you. To the point that the face kind of looks too shiny. I'm pretty sure this purple section isn't meant to be metallic. I mean, it isn't on the figuarts, put it that way. But yeah, we'll do a comparison at the end with this. But yeah, in terms of issues with it, I mean, the proportions are a bit off. The legs are way too short, as opposed to like the rest of the body. I don't know why they did that. You can kind of fix it by sort of pulling out the legs ever so slightly and leaving them just partly open. You do get a bit of a gap, unfortunately, but you can sort of hide the gap by moving the legs, which kind of solves that issue. Also, unlike most of the Evolve figures, they didn't put a cap in the shoulder, which means if it's anywhere but facing forward, you just see the peg, which is a bit strange. If I recall, they'd done the same with Beerus, but Beerus's was a lot easier to hide than Frieza. And yeah, again, I don't know why they keep doing this. Like, if you're not going to make the neck move, at least keep it straight up so it doesn't look like every character's hunched over. I don't really understand that. You have to kind of arch him back to get him into a more natural looking pose. Yeah, other issue, the hands. Like, I know these Dragon Ball Evolved figures don't come with extra hands, but why did you give Frieza the Death Beam hand? Like, I get why, to give him some sort of pose, but quite honestly, that just limits what you can do with him. I'd much rather a pair of fists, or even the splayed open hands, so you can do like his signature pose that Frieza always does when he's cocky. As it stands right now, you can really only do the Death Beam or the Death Ball sort of pose with him, which is a bit of a shame. But yeah, other than that, like, the only real issue I have is the fact that its head looks too big, like way too big. It's bulbous when you compare it with the figuarts. So yeah, yeah. In terms of articulation, he can't really look up any. That's about as far as it goes. Can't really look down much either. It's just sort of slightly in between. He can swivel, and there's a slight tilt. It's literally just a peg. Again, that's at an angle. I don't know why they keep doing that. But yeah, bit of a shame that. The arms are basically completely unhindered. You can go up that much. Swivel. Does tend to pop off, as the Dragon Ball Evolved figures do. The peg itself is free moving. You can move it about, up and down. Doesn't have a bicep swivel, unfortunately, which kind of limits poses a wee bit. Does have a single, I'll just do this, single joint at the elbow, gets 90, hinge and swivel at the wrist, which, like all the other Evolved figures, you can pop off. Abs do have quite a lot of motion. Looks like it's just a double ball joint, barbell style. But yeah, movement in the waist can move slightly side to side. But yeah, most of the movement you're going to get out the abs. So you can go forward that much, back that much, and a bit of swivel side to side. The legs are on this weird hybrid style system where it looks like a 3.0 joint, but really it's not. Actually kind of works better than a 3.0. Can do the full splits. Can kick forward even a bit more if you move that out the road. Can go back slightly. Single joint at the knee, gets about 90. And his feet are on a hinge system, so you can go back that much, forward that much, and a bit of a rocker, which is decent enough. In terms of the tail, unfortunately they've moulded it in an incredibly strange way. It also seems almost too long. But when you pop it in all the way, the tail is like right next to his feet, which means it's not very good for balance unless you've got the bottom of the tail like that. But Frieza's tail was never that long, except, was it his second and third forms that the tail got really long, before Krillin cut it off. But yeah, unfortunately, yeah, that tail's just way too much. But it does help with stability, which is something this guy struggles with. If I move the tail up, he just cannot hold a pose to save his life. Standing up anyway. Ah, there we go. Proving me wrong. And there he goes straight back to it. So yeah, you're better off just leaving the tail on the ground and hoping for the best. So yeah, quick comparison with the figuarts. As you can see, the paint is mostly the same. The figuarts Frieza can't really hold a stand either. But yeah, as you can see, they are pretty much the same height. There's very little difference. This Frieza's gold is more of a orangey gold, with the yellow gold in the middle. This one has the yellowy gold in the middle with more of a bronzy gold on his arms and legs, which, I mean, it works. You can't fault them. Like, this was, what, 50 quid figure when it came out, probably closer to 100 now. This guy's a tenner. Like, pick your poison. This guy can do a lot more poses. This guy's a tenner. But yeah, honestly, guys, at the end of the day, it's up to yourselves. I just like showing alternatives to, especially figures that you can't really get a hold of now. Hopefully we get a reissue of Golden Frieza and Black Frieza, if he ever comes to the anime. But yeah, guys, that'll do it for this review. Let me know what you think down in the comments, and I'll see y'all later.